Окей.
Крольчик, мы сейчас на небольшом круизе по бухте в Бостоне. Вот такие вот кораблики. Мы сидим на верху. И сейчас поедем на небольшой круиз. Это второй участок. Чайки. Маме, это посмотри.
Wharf gets its name because it is in fact the longest wharf on the harbor. It extends 2,000 feet off of the original shoreline of Boston. Built in 1710, it's the oldest wharf in continuous use in America. And it's from Long Wharf that the last of the British soldiers left after the American Revolution on March 17, 1776. We saw Pemberton and Beacon Hill. Those three hills are nicknamed the Tri-Mountain, and today they are commemorated in Tremont Street. Now, those three hills are considerably shorter than they once were, and that's because of what we call the wharfing out process. When the earliest settlers got here, they decided that they needed more land, so they built wharves out into the harbor, connected them with granite walls, and filled the wharves in with dirt from those three hills. So as we turn around to Long Wharf, Boston used to be. Now on the right side, you'll see an iron bridge. This is the Northern Avenue Bridge. It's a turnstile bridge that allows for vessel traffic up and down the 4.2. It was designed by a group of MIT students in the year 1905 and is one of two remaining bridges of its kind. The other is in New Bedford, Massachusetts. Just past that bridge is Women's Wharf, which is a site. We're also going to be seeing a lot of action in the next couple of weeks and possibly months because of the recent capture of the South Boston mobster, Whitey Bulger. Now, if you look back toward the city, there's a big archway that's just coming into view. This is the Boston Harbor Hotel, and it sits on Rose Wharf there. But that's how it became so popular, which I think is a pretty smart idea. This next building with all the flags on top is the World Trade Center of Boston. It hosts a variety of trade shows and exhibits throughout the year, including the In-Water Boat Show every spring. It sits on Commonwealth Pier. Commonwealth Pier was once a cruise ship dock for transatlantic passenger steamers. Both the Queen Mary and the Queen Elizabeth have been tied here. It consists of 34 harbor islands and the Boston Harbor Islands National Park. Some of the islands that you'll find out here are Castle Island, which is at the end of South Boston. This is Fort Independence, fortified in 1845. You'll also find that we're stationed off the coast of Nantucket, boarding the ships of the shallow Nantucket waters, also known as the Nantucket Shoals. Now, you may have heard of the Nantucket Lightship baskets, and they get their name from these ships. The sailors that would work on these ships would work 3 weeks on and 3 weeks off, and in their spare time they would make these baskets that became known all over the world. 21 feet tall, and there are 295 steps to the top. It's a memorial for all of the men who fought and died during the Battle of Bunker Hill in June 1775. Now, the interesting thing about this monument is that it doesn't actually sit on Bunker Hill. It sits on Breed's Hill. Bunker Hill is just to the right. It's a small steeple that's poking up over the trees. On the third desperate attempt, the Redcoats took control of this hill, and that's only because we ran out of gunpowder and ammunition. Now, though we didn't win this battle, it was a strategic victory for us because we fought the British Army, which was the strongest army at the time, to a near standstill. Now, the Battle of Bunker Hill is also where the famous phrase, "Don't fire until you can see the white." Please head down to the first deck.
Again, we pick up from the Navy Yard every hour on the hour until 5 o'clock. We pick up from the Navy Yard every hour on the hour until 5 o'clock. So if you're planning on getting off at the Navy Yard, head down to the first deck. Again, we're here for only a minute.
Where's the Constitution?
Oh, there it is, right there. See the Constitution? Right there? Yeah. Don't forget it. That's it. Oldest ship in the Navy. It's still in the Navy.
One picture together.
Oh, it's a video, so that's okay.
Now, in order to maintain the active duty status, she must travel 1 nautical mile a year. So every year on the 4th of July, she's brought out to Fort Independence, where she fires a 21-gun salute in honor of our nation's birthday. Now, you can get on board the USS Constitution. She still carries a crew of enlisted men who serve as tour guides on the boat, and they are fully decked out in the original 1812 Navy uniform. We're also where the Charles River meets the harbor. The Charles hosts a variety of universities, including Harvard University in Massachusetts. It was constructed as part of the City's Big Dig project, which took all of the elevated highways in Boston and it put them underground. They also built this bridge. Initially, that project had an estimated budget of $2 billion, but this bridge alone cost $2 billion, so it soared the total cost of that project to an estimated $16 billion. We also have the TD Garden, which is where the Boston Celtics and the 2011 Stanley Cup champions, the Boston Bruins, play. And at this time we are looking on to Boston's historic North End. This is the decidedly Italian portion of the city. It's here that you'll find many spectacular Italian restaurants, cafes, coffee shops, and the world-famous Mike's Pastry. Now you'll notice that there is a white steeple that's poking up over the buildings of the North End. This is the Old North Church. Built in 1723, it's one of the oldest churches here in Boston. It's from this church that Robert Newman hung 2 lanterns signaling to Paul Revere and William Dawes that the British were moving out of the occupied Boston by boat to Lexington and Concord. That's where the phrase, one if by land, two if by sea comes from. So it's from this church that the Patriots began their midnight ride through the city, warning everybody that the Redcoats were coming. On the following morning, coming up on our right is Battery Wharf. This is